Hey there, horror listeners. My name is Christina Bergling, and it has been a while since I've read a story. As we approach that worthless excuse for a holiday of Valentine's Day, I thought it was about time to read from one of my books. I have maybe about 3 books that have some measure of romantic or sexual sort of undertone or theme or subplot. It doesn't always necessarily go well or stay romantic, but it is definitely still there. So, horror with some heart, if you will. So, first up is The Rest Will Come, which is maybe the most direct correlation to this worthless holiday of Valentine's Day because it's about online dating where Emma is searching for the one so hard that it drives her to serial murder. And what puts anyone in the mood more than murder? So I am going to read a scene where she is on one of her dates after she has changed direction and she's no longer looking for a partner, she's looking for a victim. Looking at Deidre in the mirror, she decided she had made the right decision to invest in the wig. With her tits out and her ass hugged, he would never notice the bargain tags on her clothes. All Nate Dogg $ would be worried about would be introducing her to his over-documented penis in person. Deidre had a long drive on the dark highway to reach the southern city of Colorado Springs. She did not even turn on the radio, instead preferring the lines on the road whipping past her tires and the wind swirling against her windows. She became calm as she drew near her destination, focused and anticipant. She parked in an alleyway behind and down a couple blocks from the bar, an alley Emma would have avoided traveling alone in the dark. She popped the trunk and reached inside, grasped the screwdriver, and plunged it into her back tire, the impact sending a horrible ache from her palm up into her arm. She struggled hard, then ripped it back out, hearing the air hiss out. She tossed the screwdriver back on the plastic lining in her trunk and sashayed on her heels into the bar. She sat calmly at the bar, waiting for a Nate Dogg $. It was no surprise. He was late. When he entered the bar, she spotted him immediately. Tattoo art screen printed over his shirt, a flat-billed baseball cap low on his head. Deidre noticed him, but pretended to be obliviously perched on the bar stool. "Deidre?" His voice was the same forced gruff tone she had imagined while reading his messages. Deidre smiled and remembered to answer to the name. "Nate," she responded, letting seduction creep into her lips. "Nice to meet you." Nate extended his hand. "Damn, girl, you're prettier than your profile." "Thank you." Nate drew back the stool beside her and slid himself uncomfortably close to her. Deidre disregarded Emma's disgust and moved in responsively. Nate allowed a flash of seeming victory to flash over his features. His eyes lingered in Deidre's cleavage, even as he spoke again. Deidre did not listen to what he was saying. She moved her head to the side and widened her eyes. She twirled the false strands of her hair between her fingertips. While Nate was distracted by evaluating her body, she glanced down at his hand. A stark white line wrapped itself around his ring finger. Not the unbound finger of one never married, nor the faded line of a distant divorce. The vivid mark of infidelity. A cheater. Deidre's heart fluttered. Nate set his empty glass on the bar in front of him, licked his lips, and placed his hand on Deidre's thigh. Emma cringed at his contact. Deidre put her hand receptively on top of his. "Do you want to get out of here, girl?" Nate angled his chin toward her, his eyelids lowering. "Sure. Walk me to my car?" She laughed on the inside at the wave of confusion over his face. Nate reached for her hand as they walked down the alley. He dragged her on her heels towards him. She pretended to waver with intoxication. His fingers groped around her waist, hooking her in close. Emma rolled her eyes behind Deidre's welcoming grin. "Oh shit," Nate said as they approached her car. "Is that you?" "Yeah," Deidre said. "Why?" You have a flat, girl? Man, that's like totally flat. Look, we could take my car and come back for yours in the morning. Oh, no, I wouldn't feel comfortable leaving it overnight. Think you could change it for me? Nate looked Deidre up and down once more. Yeah, why don't you pop your trunk for me? Deidre opened her trunk and lifted the lid. Why is your trunk lined in plastic? Nate looked back at her perplexed. I work for a gardener. I have soil in my trunk all the time. It gets everywhere. Easier this way. Nate accepted the lie and lifted the floor of the trunk to reveal the spare tire and tools. Deidre leaned against the cold concrete wall while he struggled to jack up the car and remove the flattened tire. She made sure to angle her body attractively for when he paused to glance back at her. Each time she flashed him a gracious and suggestive smile, and he snapped back to work. When he turned away, she rolled her eyes or giggled silently. At last he loaded the damaged tire into her trunk. As he smoothed the plastic back down, she eased up behind him and fetched the tire iron from the asphalt beside the car, her eyes sweeping the alley for witnesses. Hey, I missed the tire iron, Nate said, his head still in the trunk. Can you give it to me? He reached his hand back toward her, and Deidre raised the iron high. She took a long, deliberate breath, savoring the way time suspended as the weapon arced through the air, then slammed it into his skull. The long neck of the four-pronged shape embedded into the bone with a sickening and heavy thud. Nate's body jerked, and Deidre had to imagine the look of unadulterated shock contorting his features. His breath stumbled and sputtered, so she tugged the tire iron back. It abandoned the wound with a strange sucking sound. When she struck him again, his body fell limp. So that's just one of Emma's many dates when she's looking for prey. If you want to read more, check out the book. Follow the links. Thank you for listening.